All right, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for attending our Bold Insights Gathering, SIMS, things you didn't know you didn't know. A few things before we get started. You can actually collapse your GoToMeeting by using the arrow facing to the right. And if you have any questions, please go ahead and enter those questions into the question field so that we can try and either answer them during the webinar, or if we don't get to them during the webinar, we will send them out and we'll post them to Bold U. So a few things. Our users conference is July 30th through August 1st in Long Beach, California. We do have SIMS classes as well as many other available classes, including an executive track. We hope you'll be there. Go ahead and set your calendars and go ahead and sign up. We also have classes. We have the Sedona Office Bootcamp, which is August 20th through 21st, and the Central Station Managers course, which is in September 17th and 18th. You can register for each of these classes by contacting your sales representative. Next month, Manitou is going to be doing a Your Data Practices and Data Security webinar for our BiG Insight Gathering. We hope you'll join us. This session is recorded and will be available on Bold U tomorrow after the conference. We also, if we have any other documents relating to this, we will also have those posted in Bold U. And if you haven't registered for Bold U yet, it's learn.boldgroup.com, and you just fill out the form, and any SIMS customer that you have there, you actually have unlimited access to Bold U at that resource level. So we would really love for you to log in and get to all of your SIMS content right there in Bold U. All right, now on to the webinar. So today we have Sarah, who is with our SIMS team, who's also been a very experienced central station operator using SIMS. So she knows the system inside and out. And we're very much looking forward to having her share her experiences with you. Sarah?
Hold on just a second. Let's see. Sharing this. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so what we're going to be covering today is SIMS, what you didn't know you needed to know. We're going to be going over all of our SIMS programs briefly with a more in-depth review of SIMS 3 and SIMS 3 Receiver Server. First of all of our programs are currently apps except for our SIMS Web 4 program, which is an app, web-based program. It does run as a service. First thing we're going to talk about today is SIMS 3 for Windows, which is our main client software that sets up on the workstations. SIMS 3 for Windows is the next generation of central station automation software. It is a Windows-based application platform that can interface with the same database as SIMS 2, which if you're familiar with the old DOS program, or directly to an SQL database. SIMS 3 can access the live SIMS 2 database if it's still on a network, or if it has not been converted to the SQL database, or if by using the SIMS 2 migrator, the entire central station can be moved over to SQL. We do offer SQL database support in addition to the standard flat file SIMS2 format that is in use today. Many of the new features that are available in SIMS 3 are available using flat file or SQL. But if there's a need to go up to the SQL platform, SIMS 3 can be switched and the data can be migrated over to the SQL database while running on the new product without having to go through a conversion process. One of the neat features about SIMS 3 is that full window resizing is now supported. Under SIMS 3, when a window is resized, going from the standard smaller size up to, say, full screen, the fonts, controls, and other items in that window do resize themselves automatically. And I'm going to go ahead and show you that. Let me get that brought up. All right, so can everybody see this account search edit I have here? So this is the normal size that it will come up when you go into SIMS 3. And if you expand it, everything resizes accordingly, so it's not just squished in the corner. The next very interesting feature that we have is if you go in and you're doing a search, you have here, we have 158 items that are showing in our current list view. If you are looking only for, say, ART, because this is a sliding search, this will show you anything that currently contains the letters ART in that order. If you are only going to look, say you wanted to only look for Garrett's, then you would start with GAR, and it's only going to pull up your Garrett's art gallery. So there you do have the option when you are searching that you can change the sort order after your results have already been displayed, and even filtering the results, you can use the AND or operators to include or exclude depending on your criteria. We have the interesting option for live address validation services. So if you're going in and you're typing in and you know that you're going to be entering a specific city, you're not going to then have to additionally input the state, county, and zip code, because once you start typing that in, it will start pulling it up and showing you. So let me get in and show you this. So if we go into this account, for example, there's no city currently in here, but if I start typing in PLANO, it's going to give me all of the Planos that show up here in the United States. Okay, so I'm going to pick this one, double click on it, and it autofills your state, zip, and your county. And then we'll just go ahead and save that. And yes, we wanted to save as, let me go back for a second to show you something. Let's see. So if we hit save, it's going to ask you if you want to save it, and then also there's an option to save it to the mailing page if you want to make those changes. If your account is a commercial account, for example, and they have a different mailing address for the bills or something, then that you can change hit the no option, and it will not change the address on the mailing page, excuse me, but only on the premise page. Okay. As well, we have a direct access to Google Maps. So if you have a technician who is out in the field and say their map on their phone is not working or whatever, and they call into the central station and say, hey, I need directions to this location, you would be able to go, your operator would be able to go into that account, and this is a good address. This is our address here at SIMS. So you go into the map, and it's going to show you the location of where they are trying to go. So you can then scroll up and down and find out, give them better directions to find out where they're needing to go. Let me get to the next. All right, SIMS 3 is UL certified, and we are up to the latest UL certification. If your central station is UL certified, there is an option within SIMS 3 settings to enable the UL requirements, which do include the extended logon credentials and automatic logout after 15 minutes of inactivity. If your central station is not UL certified, that option can be left unchecked so that your central station does not see those changes. So that would be here within the Edit SIMS 3 settings, and there is this Enable UL requirements. And that does have to be done on a workstation by workstation basis. Okay, for SIMS 3 for Windows, and for most of our products, we have a lot of the same installation and execution requirements. I'll go ahead and cover the basic ones, and then if there's additional or different information for each one, I will cover that as well. For the operating system, we recommend Windows 10 or Windows 2012 Server or higher. SIMS 3 for Windows does, and all of our products require .NET Framework of version 4.6 or higher. For SQL, if you're choosing to use the SQL version, we do recommend SQL Server 2014 or higher. And on all of our products, when you're installing, please make sure that an administrator user is logged in. And then we also recommend that you run the executable as administrator as well, especially if your central station has domain users, just so that when it gets installed, you don't have a user that logs in and then is not able to log into SIMS because of a network or a login issue, Windows issue. I apologize. Permissions. Okay, we're going to cover some fun facts about SIMS 3 for Windows. SIMS 3 for Windows is part of the Empower the Operator School of Automation Platforms. Operators will have the ability to see the big picture. They're able to view traffic, which then allows them to pick and choose what signals they will handle. They also can deviate from listed instructions to fall in line with situational events such as a storm, area outages, if there's bad database data, etc. SIMS 3 for Windows does allow for security settings on the workstation level as well as by operator or group. So if you have specific workstations that you have certain operators that you only want them to see certain items, then you can do that there. And that does cover what we're going to talk about next. The interface itself for SIMS on the priority search routine action screens, it is customizable, allowing you to only have the important information you want for your operators to see. So if you have certain operators or certain desks that you have operators sit at, you don't want them to see the billing information, or you don't use the equipment tab at your central station, you have the ability to go ahead and limit that. And let me show you that. So there, within our main SIMS screen, you will go down to the Edit SIMS 3 Settings. And the Action tabs, this is what here you will be able to enable or turn off. You are able to turn off pretty much everything on the Action tabs, going from the premise all the way over to the dealer information. And then same thing on the maintenance tabs. You are able to go ahead and reduce these. So if your operators have the ability to do editing, but you don't want them to access the map screen or the mailing page or the billing page, you would be able to take those options away, as it were. Okay. All right. Within SIMS, there's the option to automatically send out alerts via email or text from a zone when it's received, and that can go to multiple emails or phone numbers. So, for example, if you have a grocery store and you have refrigerators there that would send out environmental alerts, you have a manager there or even supervisors there that want to know every time a freezer alert goes off, you have the option to put that in for them to be alerted every time it trips, not just an operator when they get the signal sending out an email from the routine or the priority action screen. It would automatically go out and get sent out to them. Another fun thing about SIMS is that we have the ability for quick reports. You can generate commonly used reports from within a search, priority, action, or even an account edit screen by just right-clicking near the top of the screen. So if we go into this account and I right-click, this is going to drop down. So we have, for example, a full file database report, which is going to show us all of the information about that account. We can go back in and see a quick last week's history without having to go through multiple steps. You're in that account already. You want to see what the last week's history. Or the customer calls in. You don't have to go through additional separate steps for reports. Okay, so in following with my report screen, it's going to go to our next topic, which is that you can email or print or even fax a report directly from within that report viewer. So as you can see up here, we can go in and we can save that report to a file if you want to send it as an attachment. You can open it in Notepad, because if you are searching for a zone to see if it's in the zone list and you have 1,000 zones, you don't want to have to scroll through each one. You could open it in Notepad and do a Control F and find whatever zone it is you're looking for, whether it's by name, zone number, or event type. You can print it, which this will bring up your normal print, and it will tell you, you can direct it to where you want to put it, or even if you want to put it to a Microsoft Print to PDF, you have that option. And here you have the option to email it, whether it's that you type in the email, you pick it from a list that's currently in your database, or you send it directly to the dealer or whatever email that's on the account already. And as I said, you have the option to fax as well. Okay, so that pretty much ties up what we have, information we have for SIMS 3 for Windows. So now we'll go ahead and discuss the SIMS receiver server, which is our automation software and receiver signal handling. It does have to be running at all times. If it's not running, you will not have signal processing. This is an app, and at this time, it has to be open. It does work in conjunction with our monitoring software to make sure that to interface with the receivers, whether they're a legacy receiver that sends to us via a serial port or one of the new virtual receivers that is going to send across the network. Using SIMS 3 receiver server, it does remove the need for the older style digiboards and DOS or Windows 95, 98 operating systems when multiple ports are needed. Automation software, which is the SIMS 3 receiver, does process the signals as it always has, which ensures no changes to the way that signals are decoded and sent over to the SIMS 3 for Windows client. We have support for receiving signals via the network or still via serial connection. So, with SIMS 3 receiver, if you double click on a receiver, and I'll show you in a second, you will get a live data display interface. So if we go in, let me pull this up, move this over here, and you were to click on this, of course that's just showing your acknowledgement, but this is going to show as signals come in, it will add new lines and show you live data. So if you're looking for a particular signal and you don't want to look at the whole receiver server log, then you would run this because you want to make sure that a signal is coming in correctly. Okay, and in referencing the receiver server log, all of the inbound and outbound data will load to disk so that you can then go back and review it, or if you need to pull all the information for a particular account or a particular type of signal, you can then go in and strip that out and review it. So if you have a signal that you realize, or you have a technician calling in that's telling you, hey, that signal, that's not how that signal came in. You must have the data entered incorrectly. Well, you can go back, you can pull that information and send that directly to the technician and tell them, well, this is how it was received at our central station. Let's see what we can do to figure out where the problem is, whether it's on the receiver end, or if it's on the panel end, or if it's a programming issue. There are notifications if there's communication problems with the receivers themselves. We have audio and visual. If there's a problem, if there's signals that are loading or backing up over a certain threshold, the bottom of the receiver server will turn red. So this area down here where it says traffic signal count, this will turn red. And if there's also problems that can be set up with external speakers or with the speaker on the receiver server computer to where it will audibly alert you. If you have receiver additions or any changes, those are easily implemented. Making changes to one receiver interface doesn't require the other interfaces to be interrupted, which is a nice feature. When you're installing SIMS Receiver Server 3, it does work with SIMS 3 for Windows, flat file, or SIMS SQL, and it is only used for SIMS sites who are on software maintenance, and you need to have SIMS 3 for Windows and Live Update 3 installed on the workstation as well. All of the information for receiver server, as far as the settings where it points, whether it's a SQL database or a network drive, are pulled from the settings.xml file that the SIMS 3 for Windows program sets up. We have some fun information about our SIMS 3 receiver. It can act as a traffic display if it's pointed to a TV or monitor within the central station. So if you want to go in and you want to look at the traffic screen, which I have up on my other screen. So this is what it's going to look like, and then you will have the unique colors depending on what you have set up in the SIMS 3 for Windows for that workstation. So you can have, if you want bright red to be for fires and for priority 1 and bright orange for priority 2. Your operators or supervisors, management can easily walk in and see what is currently, needing to be handled on the traffic screen, or, operators can look up, supervisors can watch, because it will show you what is currently going on with the traffic in the central station. SIMS 3 receiver does allow for troubleshooting. We have the option to generate signals manually by putting in an account number, the zone, or the event type, to see how it's going to come and be handled by an account. Or you can go in directly into that receiver server log, and you can strip out a line of data and send it through, and it will send it through as if it came through from the panel if you're needing to troubleshoot how a signal came in, if there's a question about it. As well, SIMS 3 receiver does allow for a whole host of options in how signals report. You're able to set up a receiver line translation. So if you have a receiver that is coming in and it's set up and it's coming in, for example, on port 36, but you want it to read as if it's coming in on port 1, you could put it in here. And then if you said, okay, well, anything that comes in, whether it comes in on line card 1, line card 10, line card 15, but I want it to read as if it's coming in on receiver 1. So you would put those translations in here. So then once the signals hit our receiver server program, it would translate it and then read across as it's supposed to correctly. And also you can do caller ID suppression as well. All right. The rest of our options that we're going to discuss today are modules that supplement our base software, the SIMS 3 for Windows and SIMS 3 receiver server. The SIMS 3 migrator is the module that's used for the SQL migration. It's used in conjunction with converting a customer database from using the SIMS 2 flat file over to SIMS 3 SQL platform. Program's installed, and it does have to run directly on the SQL server, but it can be run as many times as you need to prior to going live with SQL to catch any duplicate or missing information coming from the other database, because sometimes there will be event types that are entered incorrectly into an account, or there are duplicate contact types, and so all of that can be corrected before it moves into the SQL table. Running this will also give you an idea of how long your live migration is going to take, which will be a consideration about the time of when you want to run your SQL migration, time of day, time of month, the time of week even. For SIMS 3 migrator or SIMS 2 migrator, as I said, does have to be installed on the SQL server. And one very important thing about this one is that SIMS 3 for Windows, Live Update, SQL Server, and SQL Server Management Studio have to be installed before running this program. SIMS Overwatch is our module for the Watchdog software. It is a utility that's used to monitor the SIMS products. It's a background program, and it can be installed on more than one computer in the central station, and information about each SIMS program does appear on the list. So if you have supervisors and maybe a manager that want to see this, they won't have to log into another computer to look at it. They can actually have it installed. As long as they have access to the SIMS network, they will be able to use it. So let me go ahead and pull this up. Let's see. Okay, so for example, if I double click on this one, it gives me more information about this computer itself. So SDRA, which is our SIMS disaster recovery, it gives us the IP address, the operating system, just basic computer information, and then also information about the product itself that we're looking at here. Because we will have obviously more than one product running on a workstation. Okay. For it, you need SIMS 3 for Windows and Live Update 3 to be installed so that the information, so that SIMS Overwatch can pull the information for SIMS off of the settings.xml file. SIMS 3 Form Writer is our automatic report processing software. This will help reduce the amount of time that somebody has to, or it will eliminate the amount of time that an operator would have to be used to set up and send daily, monthly, weekly, annual reports. If you have a customer who's wanting a weekly open and close report for their location, or if they want an all events detail type report that shows them all of everything that happened for a specific period of time. You can still run reports within SIMS 3 for Windows to get information, but these are the automated reports. With SIMS 3 Form Writer, fields that appear on reports can be controlled and how the report is formatted. Reports can be scheduled to run at irregular intervals with automatic emailing or faxing to a customer site, to a customer directly, or to a dealer as they require. A lot of dealers will use this option for billing to see if they have a customer that they are having using monitored open and closes, and etc. This is an independent product that utilizes the SIMS database for report generation without the intervention of operators. As I said, it keeps them from having to sit there for an entire day once a week generating out reports. It generates and dispatches the customized reports at a scheduled time, date and time, to the subscriber or dealer. Now, as I said, you can actually set up reports to be run as quickly as every minute and out as far as annually, however you want. You can also set up a report in there and disable it if you just use it as needed. If you have a customer that you know, they're going to call in every once in a while and want this information, so you can set it up, have it disabled, and then go in and tweak the range of dates that they want and run that report for them. With Form Writer 3, you have to have SIMS 3 and Live Update installed so that it knows where to point. With SQL, you have the option to have the SQL forms put up on the SQL server so that you don't necessarily have to have a network drive for those forms that Form Writer uses to be pointed on, because a lot of central stations, especially if they're going to SQL, are getting away from that network drive capability. So that is an option. Or you don't have to have it on the local drive to where if it's changed on one computer, you then will not have to walk around and change it on each computer if you are using the SQL forms option. All right, SIMS Expert is an option that we have that is available for free for all of our customers. That is a data and backup transfer software, and this is another one that obviously it has to be open. If it's not open, then it will not transmit that information back to us. This is a nightly backup service that we do that is included in the basic software support plan for all of our central stations at no additional cost. The backups are compressed, encrypted, and sent to secure storage servers at our Plano disaster recovery site via daily internet transfers. The encryption key can be held by the central station itself and can only be unlocked by the central station in case of an emergency. We'll store up to the last 31 backups for each central station, as well as an accumulation of history. If we have a customer, we do not, unless the customer is on what is called our SIMS disaster recovery program, we do not check off each day. It is the central station's responsibility to make sure that this is sending to us. They're more than free to call and check on it, and we'll go through and show them where it's going to store at their site so that they are able to see. It's also able to be transferred and saved onto another computer, so that if you're needing to have that as well. Okay. For this, the requirements, when you have this installed, you would need to have SIMS 3 for Windows and Live Update. And if you're on SQL, this has to be installed on the SQL server for the data backup itself. SIMS 3 COM Server is one of our modules that will allow you to transmit reports and reports via email, fax, or SMS messaging. It will send directly from within the application. If you are still using the fax option, that's sent directly via a compatible modem or a dedicated fax card. Emails are sent via designated SMTP server at the central station, and that can be local or remote via dial-up or a dedicated TCP IP network. SMS messages are going to be sent via an online messaging service, i.e. ZipWhip or Clickatel. And there's no third-party TSRs or drivers that need to be loaded onto the SIMS workstations. SIMS 3 receiver will receive the request from across the network. And then there's detailed transaction logs that are kept within the program itself, which, if enabled, you'll be able to see those logs to see if there was a failure or if it sent correctly. And if you enable it, SIMS 3 for users Windows can see the status of the fax, email, and messages written to history of there's an account that you would set up, and then if you needed to review the transactions and resend them later, you would be able to do that. With this one, you need SIMS 3 for Windows and Live Update installed, as well as you would need to have your SMTP username and password, and if you choose to use SMS messaging, you would need to have that account set up. Okay. All right, and then SIMS Dispatch, which is our two-way text communication module. It is a product that we have for SQL and flat file that will use the SMS messaging that is enabled by dealer, then by account, and then by contact in order to reduce the operator workload, and it's going to automatically handle the signals that might normally require operator interaction to notify and solicit a contact response and suggested action. The basic functionality is it will fetch an event from the traffic, notifying other operators that a solution is pending by placing its initials on the event. So you would set up a specific operator that would only be used for this, so that when your operator saw it, then they would know, oh, okay, this is being handled by SIMS Dispatch. What it then does is sends an SMS message to enable contact recipients of the signal, and then it's going to provide up to 3 suggested responses. If the end user chooses to ignore that or does not respond within a certain amount of time, the signal will then be released to traffic for operator attention, and a note will be placed in the history that will tell it, that will be written to history, so that the operator will be aware that that's why there was a delay and that it being handled by an operator itself. The SIMS Dispatch can handle multiple signals at the same time to help clear the traffic screen, and allows automation to handle routine signal notifications, as well as reducing operator workload, especially during high volume times. And also, multiple contacts can be notified of the same signal at the same time. With SIMS Dispatch, it does use IIS, the Internet Information Services, which does have to be installed before SIMS Dispatch is installed and programmed. Excuse me. Yes, installed and programmed. SIMS 3 for Windows and Live Update need to be installed as well. All right, the next product we're going to talk about is our web-based database access, which is SIMS Web 4. It is a new web application that we have, which it does combine the functionality of SIMS 3 for Windows and the streamlined simplicity of the iPocket app. Let me go ahead and pull this up if y'all will give me 1 second. I can show you. Okay, so when we log in, we're going to see that there's the option to view accounts. So you can just put in your account number by searching, or you can use the name. There's the option here to where it's, you can use all of these different options to search. If you are given the ability to edit accounts, then you would be able to search here. If the central station has not given the end user the ability to edit accounts, it won't even show up here. You can go to the traffic page, which does show live traffic, and it refreshes. I believe this one refreshes every 30 to 45 seconds. If you're looking for a very specific account, because you have, if you're a technician out in the field and they are testing with a fire marshal, then they can put that in and they can see the signals as they are coming in, even if it's on test. And if you are a user with access, or a dealer access with access to many sub-dealers, you can then go in and view only the accounts that belong on traffic to that particular user. There are multiple different account reports, and this is similar to SIMS 3 as well as iPocket. Okay, go ahead and log out of this. Okay. There is an improved user interface. Dealers have the ability to set their own logos, and that logo can then be used as a watermark on the PDF reports. They can email reports directly from SIMS Web 4, so they don't have to call into the central station and say, can you email me this? Or if they have a customer that they're working with a customer on site, they can go ahead and email that directly to the customer. If the dealer or end user has edit capabilities, they can make changes there without having to submit that to the central station. On the out of service function, it's in local time of the account, so the dealer no longer has to make any time difference calculations. And there, like I said, there are multiple different reports that are available to that user. And there is one other option that I need to just show you real quick and get logged back in. Okay, if you're on the traffic page, you have the option to double click on a signal and it will open it up directly in view. So they can then look at the different options. We have the premise tab, which has the information, zones. If they wanted to run a report directly from there, we could do that. And I could then have that to view and I can save it or whatever I need to do with on my computer. SIMS Web 4, like SIMS Dispatch, does require IIS installed before SIMS Web 4 is installed and programmed. It also requires SIMS 3 and Live Update. All right, our iPocket, which is our app-based database access. So you have the SIMS iPocket server. And SIMS Pocket Edition is available on Apple, BlackBerry, or Android devices. And when it's used with the iPocket server, it allows the dealers and the customers, end users in the field, you can access your accounts on a compatible device directly in real time. So what you do, let's see, and this is what the actual Pocket Edition looks like when you go to log into it. Access is controlled, just like it is with SIMS Web 4, using the standard operator maintenance screen in SIMS, and there are limits to what they can still view and edit, but there are limits to what a web user and that can do, and that is handled by the central station. Dealers will be able to access all their accounts and only their accounts with a single login without having to have a sign-in for each one. If you have an end user customer, they are restricted to seeing only the information for their account number. And again, that is controlled and handled by the central station. Floor plans and other graphics can be available to help identify where things are located. If there are IP cameras, they can be linked to the account and be viewed in the application. There are numerous styles of history reports, summary account listings, and full database reports that are available. And then installation personnel can use the app to enter zones and contacts during installation. And that way you can approve accuracy of information because it can be approved on site by an end user. Out of service can be systems that can be put out of service. That out of service can be returned to service or extended without having to contact the central station. And then they can also, there's a traffic option, so the end user or technician can view the traffic as they are testing something. Customers can actually send panic and medical alarms directly from the device. And then there's a complete audit trail of activity performed by the users, which will be written into the history, as well as detailed access logs. This is compatible with SIMS 3 flat file and SIMS 3 SQL installations. And the data that's sent by the server uses a 128-byte encryption protocol, to protect the data that's being sent. It is configurable for the central station's IP or host name and port number. So that's how you specify using the configure. There's an option in there where you put the server information. And the central station must be running the iServer software in order for the app to be able to access any data. So if you have a technician that calls and says, well, I've got logged in and I'm not getting anything, well, the central station has to be running iPocket. And then each end user, whether a technician or customer, has to purchase the app from the Apple iTunes, BlackBerry App Store, or Google Play Store. Okay, and the last module we're going to talk about today is our Live Update 3 software, and it is our software that's used to update the other SIMS products. It runs to update the files on registered products using the HTTP connection, but it is only going to update those products which are registered. So if you've downloaded a demo and it's not one you've purchased, then you're not going to be able to update it once that trial period has ended. And it, as well as our other products, can run on Windows 10 operating system, Windows 2012 Server Higher, requires .NET Framework 4.6, and needs to be run under an administrator login and run as administrative. So if there are any questions that have come in, or Karen, if there's anything else that you have that you need that has come up from me.
No, we're ready for the polls when you're ready.
Okay. I am ready to go.
All right, so we're going to launch the first poll. And if everybody can start voting on this poll. What happens if SIMS 3 receiver server is closed? We've got 16%. Let's see. We'll give it another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, we're going to close our poll and see our results. Sarah?
Okay, 91% is correct. There's no signal processing, so your central station would not be able to function as it normally does. You would have to go manual.
Okay, perfect. All right, so here's our next poll question. Let's launch it. Which SIMS products currently run as a service? Select one of the following. All right, let's give people a couple more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so Sarah?
Okay, 50% were correct. SIMS Web 4 is the only SIMS product that currently runs as a service. All of our other products do have to have it. It has to be open because it is an application.
Excellent. All right, so let's get on to our last one and launch it. Where do you get quick reports? It's looking pretty good so far.
Mm-hmm.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so I'm going to close that poll and share the results. Sarah?
Okay, it is B, the SIMS 3 for Windows right-click, and that's where we have our quick reports that we use. That's how we referenced for them. So, very good.
Excellent. So that's all of the polls. Do you have
Yes,
any more things to share?
All right, I don't believe we've had any questions come in. So if there are any questions, if you want to reach out to Karen, you can reach out to Karen and she can send me an email or get you my email address so we can go forward from there. But I appreciate everybody's time today, and I hope you enjoyed our presentation.
Thank you very much, everyone. We hope you enjoyed it. And once again, this is a recorded session, so it will be available in Bold U tomorrow, but you'll also receive a copy in your email if you registered. Thanks so much, and you guys have a great rest of your day.